Now, whilst I think you can gain some helpful pointers and guidance when it comes to the advice that people online are offering you, I truly believe that there's a huge difference between that and actually obtaining lasting results to improve your own life. If you are somebody who wants a significantly better quality of life than the one that you're currently living, what you need to understand is that by continuously watching videos online, what you're doing is you're oversaturating your brain with knowledge, whereas the recovery process itself is actually a very actionable process, and it requires you to actually do the thing in order to obtain the results. And one thing that I eventually came to the realization of is the fact that actually when it comes to recovery, a lot of people who end up making the best progress aren't necessarily the ones with the greatest wealth of knowledge, but actually those who recognize that the way they're living day to day doesn't align with the way that a human should live that wants to be able to build a fitter and healthier body. And so they recognize their behaviors and are willing to change them consistently in order to achieve that goal. It isn't a competition of who has the biggest brain. It's about strategically knowing where to put your efforts towards in order to get your current body to function in a way that more so resembles that of a fit and healthy human being. And what this should involve is decreased levels of pain and suffering, increased levels of energy, less attention about what is going on in here, and more attention of what is happening in our outside world. So why do I believe that people online can't help you to attain this goal? Well, simply put, they don't know how your body is functioning at its most basic physiological level, and without this information, they can't possibly provide you with the tailored solution that you require to actually recover long term. Approaching these content creators online and directly asking them for answers to your problem is a little bit like if you were to need the windows replaced in your home. And what you end up doing is you approach the window fitting company and they ask you for specific measurements so that they can provide you with the exact windows that you need so that they fill the gap in the wall. And instead of actually giving them these measurements, what you say to them is, but why can't you just provide me with the perfect size windows? What you need to do is to dig a little bit deeper to understand how your body is functioning at this current moment in time, so that in turn you can obtain the accurate answers and then subsequently achieve the results that you're ultimately after. This was the light bulb moment that I finally had after spending over 7 years desperately researching, reading books, complex literature, studies, articles, and watching videos online, that I finally recognized that I was looking for answers despite not actually knowing what the problem was that I was looking for answers for. Because all too often we're given a label by the healthcare system based on what they believe is wrong with us, and instead of investigating this further, what we decide to do is to run with it, and we seek out advice and answers from other people online who have been given this exact same label, whereas I personally believe that we haven't been sufficiently assessed and diagnosed to actually know deep down what the problem is that's going on within us. And from years of continuous research, my understanding was that our neurology drives our chemistry, and our chemistry drives our biology. So any chronic symptom that's manifesting within the body more than likely stems from some form of neurological dysfunction. And then any chronically abnormal activity from an organ or any chronically abnormal level, like a mineral level or hormonal level, immune function levels, all of these are purely just downstream byproducts as a result of that neurological dysfunction. But if you did want total clarity on some of these pathways and how they end up becoming dysfunctional, I highly recommend checking out the Unbeatable Blueprint online course. I can't begin to express just how much value I've packed into this 5-hour course, where by the end, you'll have a completely new perspective of your chronic condition and exactly what you need to do to recover long term. Okay, so what am I getting at here? Well, ultimately, if you're somebody who's living with the likes of POTS, dysautonomia, chronic fatigue syndrome, ME, or long COVID, and you've got these persistent symptoms that never seem to subside, and you really want to get to the bottom of what's going on, then I would strongly consider having the function of your brain and nervous system thoroughly assessed so that you can pinpoint the exact location of the dysfunction that's preventing your body from being able to efficiently self-regulate. But that is, of course, if you are somebody who's like me, who really wants to get to the bottom of understanding what it is that's causing the continuous re-emergence of your chronic symptoms. Maybe you're somebody who just wants to pick up information and little pointers from various people online and adopt their principles, and maybe it's keeping your symptoms at bay. And if that's the case, then by all means, please continue. But the main reason why I believe that everybody online, including myself, can't help you to get your desired results is because there are numerous neural pathways that are responsible for delivering sensory information into our brain on a continuous basis that in turn allows our brain to run the rest of our body properly. And so what you really need is an in-person assessment to find out which of these neural pathways is performing dysfunctionally so that you can train that specific pathway. For me, this was achieved with the help of a chiropractic neurologist who was able to identify certain hypotonic pathways within my nervous system, which meant certain pathways weren't functioning up to the standards that they should have been. And this was the reason as to why I was experiencing shortness of breath, orthostatic intolerance, digestive issues, and severe temperature sensitivity. As soon as we got to work on strengthening these neural pathways with very specifically targeted neurological exercises, gradually what ended up happening was all of these symptoms gradually started to fade away at the same rate. And the reason for this was because we were addressing the neural hub that was responsible for mediating the activity of all of these separate systems. And let me tell you, the things that I ended up learning about my body and the way that it was functioning and the root cause behind what was causing the cascade of chronic and debilitating symptoms that I was experiencing on a day-to-day basis, I would have never in a million years have found this stuff out if I just continued to browse the internet and watch videos online. Because you see, the way the human body works is that we have a number of these receptors that are responsible for taking on board sensory information, both consciously and unconsciously. And as soon as the body interprets this information from our environment, these receptors then convert that into a neuronal or an electrical signal, which then in turn gets sent to the brain. And then the brain then decides what to do with the rest of the body based on this information that's been fed into it. So in the case of chronic symptoms, what's more than likely happening with the vast majority of us out there is that we've experienced some form of breakdown in the communication of these sensory pathways and how they're relaying this information into the brain, so that in turn the brain is continuously producing undesirable commands to the rest of the body. And this could manifest as pain, abnormal activity of organs, or just inconsistent health markers where these levels always seem to be outside the desired range. So when you're watching my videos, please understand that what I'm trying to do is to teach you and then guide you towards the answers that I believe will offer you the best chance of long-term symptomatic alleviation. And this is by providing you with the exact steps that I took to obtain similar results in my own recovery. However, the fact of the matter is that recovery is a very actionable process, and there's only so much benefit you can obtain by continuously taking in information from a screen.